So where do you usually shop?
My usual go-tos are Zara and H&M and like Uniqlo and Express, just because it's like fashionable stuff for super affordable prices.
Most of my clothes are from H&M, Forever 21, Zara.
Do you know where this flannel was made?
Probably in a sweatshop somewhere, honestly. I know that's bad to say, but all of our clothes are really made in sweatshops unless you go to a store that you would pay a lot more money than most people would want to pay.
Oh, it's made in China.
Made in China.
I think, I'm not 100% sure, maybe Brazil. Oh, God, I'm going to be in big trouble. They were made in China.
You look around, everybody's wearing like some new sort of style or fashion, and you're like, I want to be part of the trend. You don't want to wear like old clothes or like clothes that may seem to be outdated.
Fast fashion is almost a reflection of what we want as consumers. So this market almost opened up because they're basically feeding consumers exactly what they want. So they want stylish clothing, but they don't want to pay much for it. And that's essentially a lot of what fast fashion is about.
They keep pushing out stuff every day, every single week, but then us as consumers, it was like, oh, how can I keep up with the next trend? They keep going back to the stores and just keep feeding onto the cycle of, okay, these companies have to outsource more and more products, feeding onto this big textile waste problem.
We are mostly interested in upcycling clothing, so that's taking like old clothing and like kind of making some modifications to it and then making it something, in our case, more beautiful or more wearable. We want to build a huge community of students that are kind of interested in learning how to upcycle, learning how to repurpose materials and turning that into stylish clothing. People our age kind of hear fast fashion is bad, but sometimes people don't really even understand why it's bad, and kind of being able to explain it and also show them alternatives that are actually plausible for them to look into for sustainable fashion. You could start out small with like little keychains like this. I think this is something that anyone can start with. Like if they have like an old shirt, they can make it into like a tote bag, or a lot of it is also just realizing that once you get started, it's not actually that hard. Because I think a lot of times like it's overwhelming thinking about sewing and using a needle or even using a machine.
With the keychain project, it's just you cut out the shape of the leaf, for example, leave a small opening, and then put hot glue all around the edges, put it together, and then flip it inside out.
We had the first annual Eco Fashion Expo fashion show last semester, and it was honestly just such an incredible event to organize.
Just how we were able to bring together a community of so many different designers that had no experience with sewing or like designing in general or like any interest in fashion, and then we were able to have like a 2 to 3 hour event.
Kind of starting freshman year when I moved into the city for college, I realized like H&M and Forever 21 were like the only shops I could really afford. And I kind of almost started wondering, how come I can buy brand new pieces for so cheap? There's this phrase, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And essentially what it means is that there's a cost to everything, even if you're not paying like the monetary cost.
And then I started going to a lot of thrift shops in high school because it was something that it's just like kind of the thrill of finding something that's unique and something that nobody really can have. And then I started upcycling them and turning them, like if something is like too long, I would hem it to make it shorter. Or something that's like even too short, I would make it like longer.
We're partnering up with like Raga Closet and a bunch of other designers around New York City, and it's a cool event to get people kind of engaged in like what upcycling is about. People can bring their old clothes that need mending, and a lot of designers are going to sell their work, like their pre-made work as well. So it's just be a really fun event, like getting people excited about upcycling, because we hope that they'll also be able to design. We're just going to help them with the sewing aspect.
Yeah.
And soon he made this cute little pouch, and she matched up 2 fabrics. She picked out the lining fabric and the outside fabric, and she added kind of a
That's so
closure.
cute.
Her sister made these earrings out of zippers.
It's actually so pretty.
And it's so pretty. Yeah, I agree. And this is kind of like how you can be really creative with like your materials.
Because then normally what happens is that, oh, it's like a shirt that has like a hole with it has like a zipper, but then people feel like, oh, I'm just gonna throw it out. But instead you can take out the zipper and make something like this. We also really wanted to focus on empowering the consumer on the item I wish they wanted to purchase. So that, for example, if a pair of earrings, if it's $7, we would put 7, 8, 9. so that the consumer could choose whether or not they want to pay $7, $8, or $9. Transparency, affordability, and sustainability. Core values.
It's good. Like we're like okay. Like last night we like did not sleep.
It is 1:34 a.m.
I didn't sleep, so I slept at probably 7 or 8, 7:30.
Okay.
And then I woke up at like 8, 8:30. 9. So I slept like an hour, 2 hours maybe.
That's fine.
I'm awake though.
This event is special for Effie because it's our first kind of like being out in the public event and like getting out of the building event, just to see people's response to like what Effie is, what we do, and seeing if they're actually interested in buying upcycle designs. It's also just building our community. We believe that the issue with the fashion industry could be tackled at both ends. So one end being the consumer and the other end being the main fashion industry. For example, you buy like a regular t-shirt from H&M for like $10, but then you only wear it like 2 times. So then the cost per wear is like $5 per wear. But then as opposed to investing more into a t-shirt, like deeming the t-shirt as an investment where, okay, what if I pay like $30 for it, but I can wear it 50 times, 100 times, you know? It's just like perceiving clothing as an investment is really important, especially if we're trying to empower consumers and saying that, okay, we are essentially using our money as like a ballot to support these companies in what they do and their missions.
I am sewing our first customer.
These major fashion companies also have the power to change the production line to make sure that what they do is ethical, sustainable, and just transparent. Like that's the main thing.
There we go. Oh, they're over here, in front of me.
Yeah.
Nice?
Yeah.
Happy with it?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Thank you.
It looks good.
Thank you.
Do you like it?
I do.
A lot of companies know that if we produce it within the US, then it's going to cost more. And then like just if we have it sent over to China, then it's like cheaper, it's faster, and they already made the process over there so much more efficient.
I went to Guangdong, and then I got to visit a clothing factory with my friend Fanny. And for me, it was one of those experiences that was kind of like I didn't believe it, that it was happening, but it almost looks exactly like what you see in the pictures of like lines of people on sewing machines. They were working, I think, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night. I also saw like kids working in the factories, and they're clearly not supposed to be there, but it's also the idea that a lot of people don't have, I guess, the resources to be able to make ends meet without working in these factories or having their children work in these factories. A lady I actually spoke to that was working in the factory, she said that she just came up to me. She's like, wow, it must be so nice. You're so educated. You've gone to school for so long. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm just taking, like I was a sophomore then. I was like, I'm just a sophomore in college. She's like, well, I didn't even finish elementary school. She's like, it's so amazing that you got to learn so much. And I was like, wow, I really take my education for granted a lot of the times. If we do want to make these very strict laws about people not having kids working in factories, which is definitely wrong, but we also have to implement, I guess, systems or laws that give these families support. What you realize very quickly is that as one person, you're not going to change these issues. You need to work together. Like sustainable companies need to work together to make sure that we do make major changes, because if not, you're not going to make that much of an impact. And it is like little things, like every little behavior that you make or little decisions that you make even as a consumer, it contributes, because we're so many people. If you mention it to your friend that, hey, like, oh, maybe don't buy from H&M, maybe consider a thrift shop, or oh, maybe like you have a hole in your shirt, maybe I can help you sew it. Little things like that, they make a difference in the long term, and if everyone does it, we wouldn't be looking at a lot of the problems that we're looking at today.